A mom recently commented on one of my videos and said, "It's hard for me to lean into my child's interests because sometimes they're interested in something for a week and then they move on, and sometimes they don't even know what they like." And honestly, I think so many homeschool moms feel this way because sometimes we hear things like, follow your child's interest-led learning, help them discover their passions. But what happens when your child doesn't seem passionate about anything or their interests change every 5 minutes? They really can do that, especially if you have kids with ADHD. I've raised 3 with ADHD. It can make you feel like you're doing something wrong. Like maybe you're missing something and maybe you're failing them and maybe you should be doing more. And I just want to encourage you today with this episode. Are you a Christian homeschool mom who feels overwhelmed, reactive, or constantly questioning yourself? Do you want a peaceful homeschool but find yourself stuck in pressure, overthinking, and frustration? You are not alone. I'm Olivia Cagle, a Christian mindset coach, an inner healer practitioner, and a homeschool mom of over 20 years. I've been where you are, trying to do everything right, but still feeling overwhelmed and unsure. I'm going to help you calm the overwhelm, renew your thoughts, and create a peaceful, spirit-led homeschool. This is going to help you stop reacting and start enjoying your days and trust that you're exactly the mom your kids need. This is spirit-led homeschool. I want to tell you a little story of actually today what my daughter and I were talking about. We were talking about high school credits. So she's in the 6th grade right now, and she's going to be in the 7th, of course, next year. And we were talking about how eventually we will need to think about credits and graduation requirements. I always have told my kids these are basically just some hoops we have to jump through in order for you to graduate. And if you don't know, I've graduated 2 boys so far. Then we start talking about how creative homeschool can be. So we were really focusing in on that and how there are so many ways to learn. So many ways to meet requirements, so many ways to build education around our real life, right? And honestly, we don't really homeschool according to grade levels over here. I really never have. I focus on where they are at. Are we connecting? What's meaningful? What's helping you grow? I'm kind of a rebel. I will be like, why are we learning this? And why did somebody pick this for us to learn? It just doesn't make any sense to me. If you can make it make sense, I will listen. But most of the time, somebody else has put in these requirements for our children. And they don't even know who our children are. They don't even know how they're created, what God put in them. Here's how I like to look at it. As adults, we are going to usually learn things for 2 reasons. Because we either have to or because we want to. Maybe we have to learn how to fix a garbage disposal because it broke. Or maybe we want to learn about health, gardening, business, baking sourdough, scripture, healing, our nervous system, regulation, because something inside of us genuinely is interested. And that's real learning. And this is going to be the best way our kids learn too. And I think sometimes we forget our kids are people too, and we just start doing everything we think that we are supposed to do. One of the biggest fears homeschool moms carry is this pressure that their child needs to have their whole future figured out super early. A lot of adults still don't fully know what they want to do. I think that we move from season to season. Some things are for a season, and then we're going to get different skills and we'll move on to something else. When our kids are exploring things for like a week, it just means they're discovering themselves. And that's just exploration. So when we talk about interest-led learning, right, or spirit-led learning, we can get really obsessive over, well, what are they interested in? And honestly, sometimes it just helps us to look at how they naturally engage, okay? So do they love building, creating, helping, being outside, moving their body, asking deep questions, working with their hands, imagining stories, solving problems, because these are patterns that you can look at to see how God created them. And when our kids don't know what they like yet, it's just because they need more exposure without pressure attached to it. Maybe they need more books or experiences or nature or projects, conversations, museums, documentaries, hands-on learning. And I just want to say a side note, because a lot of times adults don't even know what they like. And sometimes that's because of trauma, but a lot of times it's because we did go to the traditional school system and we were told what to think, we were told how to act. So breaking out of that is so key, but it can be really scary. A big part of spirit-led homeschooling is how to hear God's voice concerning your child and teaching them how to hear God's voice. While I'm on that, I have this little vision in my mind to gather kids together and moms or parents just to practice online hearing God's voice as a safe place. If that's something that interests you, I would love for you to, if you're listening to this podcast on YouTube, in the comments, let me know. I would love to do that. I would love for my kids to learn how to do that in a safe place. And maybe you want to learn that too. If you're listening on a podcast platform, maybe you could go to the YouTube and find this, or you could go to my spiritledhomeschool.com website and go to the contact form and tell me you would be interested in that. Did you know that if your kids are disinterested, sometimes it's overwhelm, and sometimes it's because if they've had screens, their brain is so used to that dopamine hit, learning something off of screens, or even sitting and being bored. Well, just let me say, when my daughter has been on screens a lot, she isn't creative because it's not as fun as the dopamine hits are that the phones or the screens give you, right? So limiting the screens can actually help us to see more of what their giftings and talents are, and even helping them to identify what they like. But sometimes it can also be insecurity. Sometimes they're afraid to fail. If they're perfectionists, sometimes they haven't been exposed to enough yet, like I said that before. And sometimes God is just developing something slowly that doesn't fully make sense yet. And I think as moms, we can actually just get so focused on trying to control outcomes that we stop slowing down enough to really notice our child. And I have another podcast episode that I'll link in the show notes here about learning how to slow down, because that can be scary, but it's so important. Some things you can ask yourself is, Lord, how did you design this child? What gifts did you place inside of them? How do they naturally learn? What lights them up? So you can journal that. You can just sit still and see how he talks to you. And if you don't know how he talks to you, that's okay. I'm going to start doing some more podcasts on how you can hear his voice, because God knows our children better than any curriculum, better than any checklist, or any expert ever will. God will show you things about your child before they even know how to articulate it themselves. And I keep making little notes, and I hope this fits in well in the podcast. But pay attention to the people that God puts in your life as well, because they will speak into their life and they will teach them things that you can't. Because my boys, I was always praying for God to put other people in their life, and he so did. They could teach them things, take them under their wings that I couldn't even. Even just having conversations with these people helped them to have a love of learning and learning different things. So here's another example that we're going to do with my daughter. We have a truck that's paid off, and that's what she said she wants as her first car. So we were like, okay, if that's what you want. So she's already looking at ways to fix it up and what she wants to do. She's 12 and she's going out there going, I need to clean this truck up. She's looking at pictures online. She's researching what she wants. This teaches research skills. When they research things that they love, they don't have to research things they hate to learn research skills. Her and her dad will fix this truck up together. So you can put that on your high school transcript as well. And it's something that she's excited about and interested about. She is going to learn so much when she does this. The other thing is she's in MMA and jiu-jitsu. So what I'm doing right now is creating a unit study for her on this of women being in MMA. And she's going to learn leadership skills from this. She's going to learn discipline, what it took for these women to be disciplined to get where they are in life, and even emotional intelligence, how they learned how to process emotions through losses and even through wins. There's so much learning that can happen in a unit study that they love. Now, I don't create unit studies with math in it or heavy language arts. I do use a language arts and math curriculum, and sometimes it changes on what curriculum that is depending on what's keeping her interest. But it's usually never a heavy hitting language arts program unless I know that is something that is going to be needed for what she's going to do when she graduates. And I can tell you by my daughter, that's not something she's going to need. So we will just do the basics of what is required for her in high school. And the biggest thing about being spirit-led or interest-led is you're probably going to have a fear of falling behind, messing up your children, fearing that you're not doing enough, fearing of getting it wrong. And the problem is when you homeschool from fear, it's like you want to control everything. You worry about what people think. And then what happens is you stop enjoying your child. You stop trusting yourself. You stop trusting your kids. And then you don't even hear God clearly. So when you learn how to step into peace and how to slow down enough to observe your child, to connect with them, to pivot when needed, and to stop forcing things that aren't working, then this is when peace happens. And because I know that's a hard thing, I created a homeschool breakthrough session. I am so excited about this because this will give me a peek into your life and in your homeschool. You don't really need more curriculum recommendations. What you need is clarity. What you need is peace. What you need is confidence. And if you're overwhelmed or triggered, what's the root? What's causing that? And through this session, I help you get there. And sometimes one breakthrough can completely shift the atmosphere of your homeschool because you have me as a veteran homeschooler, a mindset coach, a nervous system regulation coach, and an inner healer looking at what's going on for you. So you're going to tell me what's going on, all of your thoughts, and then I'm going to send you back a video or an audio telling you what I see and what can help. I'm going to link that in the show notes below. I just want to thank you for joining me today on Spirit-Led Homeschool. If this episode encouraged you, I would love if you would share it with another homeschool mom who needs more peace and less pressure. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. I would love for you to rate it and give it a review. And you don't need to be more to be a good homeschool mom. You just get to learn to lead from peace. All right, I'll see you in the next episode.